But it was at this boarding school where I had my largest musical revelation. Someone copied a tape of Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream. Yeah, baby. All that night, the first time I listened to it, put it in my Walkman and put the earphones in. Oh my goddess. Just the emotion, the pure raw emotion that I could feel in his singing, the soft to loud, the rock, and the quieter moments. It was a revelation, and it was totally forbidden, and just that by itself made the experience even better. I mean, here I am lying in my bed late at night, feeling like shit because this is a shitty place to be, and nobody likes me here. Everyone makes fun of me, but I've got somewhere to go. I've got somewhere to escape, and that was Smashing Pumpkins. Eventually I would start to visualize stories with the music and kind of put myself in the life of a rock and roll star. You know, you would start off unknown. People don't like you. You're an underdog. And each song on the Siamese album would take me to the next step, the next plot line, wherein I would get famous, and then finally, you know, today, would be like the top of my success. Like, I didn't realize that it was, you know, an ironic song at the time, but it was such a happy song for me, just listening to it with all the feeling. And then later on would have Disarm, and Disarm would be like the sad part, the part where, well, I would have, you know, in these kind of like night dreams, before I'd fall asleep, I would put myself through over and over again the role of that star, and then get to this point where I have a girlfriend and I'm happy, or I'm married, and then finally these girls come into my band's hotel room with the purpose of, you know what, and I would give in to them in my dream. I would not be able to say no to them. And then I would deal with that afterwards, and how I would feel so guilty and so sad for doing something like that. And I would actually quite often cry in real life, and the music would create these emotional highs and lows for me, and I would actually live through that emotion like crazy. I was addicted to the emotion. I was addicted to, it was like a drug for me. The music was a drug. It was an escape. It was a drug at this point. It's so intense. You probably think I'm crazy. You probably think, who is this guy? What the hell were you doing? Who does that, right? I did that. Anybody else out there kind of did that, you know, while listening to the course of an album, created some sort of fantasy storyline and lived through it every time you listen to that album over and over again? Anybody? That music really inspired me as well, because I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to do it. You know, at first I didn't have the opportunity to learn the guitar. It wouldn't be until I was 14 that I actually was able to start playing a guitar instrument. So instead of music, I would channel my inspiration into writing. I started writing a novel when I was in junior high school, and I think I wrote like something 60 pages handwritten about this is so nerdy. I had the idea that the Russians also colonized America, along with the British, the Spanish, and the French, but the Russians came in from the west coast. I reimagined American history in the sense that there would be a Russian presence there as well on the west coast, and there was a war, and there was a main storyline about revenge, and how revenge is not, good. After 2 years, I finally managed to get out of boarding school by convincing my parents that it was no longer good for me. So back to Thailand now. That was a really good time of my life. I made a really good friend during that time period as well, and I also met my first girlfriend, and I also started playing bass guitar. Yes, I want to show you my bass guitar. This here is my first bass guitar. You might have seen it in some of my videos. I think it cost me in the neighborhood of 4,500 to 5,500 baht, which is about $150 to $160. One of the things that I wanted to do when I got a bass guitar and started learning it was learning how to play along with songs that I knew and loved, such as Weezer's Say It Ain't So, or MXPX. It was really fun, and I would figure out the bass lines on my own because, well, no internet, no guitar tab archives and stuff like that to go to, at least not that I knew of at the time. And I started writing my own music very, very quickly. I'd write music for my girlfriend, and I would really get into the music even though it sucked. Like, I can show you my very first song that I ever wrote. Kind of went like this. Let me use a pick. I love you, I love... And basically just repeats like that all the time. Another one would be... And I must say it today, even though I know we are da. It was basically a song about me choosing to go to boarding school for one more year. Not the same boarding school in Malaysia, but one in North Thailand, in a place called Chiang Mai. I decided to go there because I wanted to be part of a sports program, which is something I missed being homeschooled. Spending that entire school year apart from her, oh, it was so tough on me. But I had music. At the time, I really listened to Bush a lot. Bush, The Science of Things. And I was writing another novel. Also learning how to play guitar. And I made my first band in boarding school. I had that first band heartbreak, you know, the kind of heartbreak where, like, you're really excited about it and you really want to make more music and you want to work so hard on it, but nobody else cares. And I would run into the same thing over and over again for the rest of my life. Something that you want to make something out of it and nobody else cares. It's just doing it for fun, I guess. But for me, I was always serious. And when it comes to music, I think now I understand why I might be in one of those top 10%. Only 10% of other people could feel the same way about music that I do, or maybe even less. Basically, when I was learning music, learning how to play bass guitar, learning how to play guitar, I taught myself the whole time. I didn't have a teacher. I couldn't afford a teacher. Truly on my own. And if I ever wanted to make it big in music, I'd have to do it my way, do it by myself. Now I'm going to fast forward to today. That's right. Today, what does music mean to me today? I have a very hard time listening to a lot of those bands that I listened to when I was younger. It brings up too much emotion. I really can't handle it now. You know, it makes me want to kill myself sometimes, listening to some of that old music. There were many times when music became a therapy to me, listening to an album after a breakup. I've had a few devastating breakups in my life. You know, I fall back on the music. It really kind of makes me more depressed and more depressed. So instead of listening nowadays, mostly I make music. You know, I'm kind of like an open book. If you went to see that, you know, one of my 11 albums that are out right now, you can learn a lot about me just by listening to what I'm singing. So that pretty much sums it up for me. Music is a huge part of my life today. I don't know what I would have done without it. Maybe I'd be a healthier person altogether. Maybe I wouldn't be so almost manic depressive, if you will. I'd be interested to know if you have any similar stories. You know, different people listen to music for different reasons. You know, there were points in my life where I listened to a band simply because it was cool, and being able to say that I listened to that band made me feel like I was cooler than I actually was, and maybe helped me to be accepted. Thankfully, eventually that ceased to happen. Nowadays I listen to music because I enjoy it, because I think it's good, because of how it makes me feel. How about you? I told my story. You watched it to the end. Apparently you're here still. How many people make it this far into the video, really? I could say anything right now. No one's watching! So, goodbye.